activism begins with ACT. The Russ Belville Show features the stories of hardworking grassroots activists working for an end to prohibition in today's activist agenda.
Welcome back, everyone. 31 after the hour, and I'm really excited to get to our next topic, which is Hemp History Week. This is something we've talked about in the past couple of years on the show. It's coming up again in June, and we've got a spokesperson from the Hemp Industries Association. Anndrea Hermann is with us. Anndrea, welcome to the show.
Hi, Russ. Welcome. Thank you.
Oh, so glad to have you here because, you know, I often tell people that I know a lot about the science of cannabis, but once it hits the dirt, I start to lose track of what's going on, and I'm glad to have an expert here to talk to us. First of all, let's just tell people about Hemp History Week. I think they can find it at hemphistoryweek.com, and it's coming up in June. What do they need to know?
Yeah, so basically this is our fourth annual Hemp History Week. It is June 3rd through 9th, and it's an industry-wide project initiated by the Hemp Industry Associations and Vote Hemp, and it involves hundreds of hemp manufacturers, farmers, activists, volunteers, and retailers all across the United States.
It's really exciting. People need to know more about the economic and industrial potentials of cannabis as used as a hemp crop. And one of the things I saw in some of your materials that really spoke to me is the theme of the campaign, Hemp, Our Heritage, Our Future, because I've always characterized this as something that is American heritage. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes, exactly. You know, industrial hemp has been a long staple crop in the United States up until the 1930s. The last crop was actually in the early 50s. So it is something that is part of our heritage, and it is going to be something that's part of our future. And we've seen this, you know, exactly play out in Canada, where it was part of the Canadian heritage. That heritage started to get lost, and the Canadian government re-recognized industrial hemp, and now it's part of the Canadian future. So this is something that can happen in the United States also.
People here in America probably recognize, at least a little better than they used to, that there are hemp products, hemp soaps and lotions, and even for those that might go to some of the summer festivals, they'll find a hemp backpack or wallet or something like that. But I don't think a lot of them realize that we're having to import all of that hemp when we manufacture that. What has this done as far as the balance of trade between, say, us and Canada or China?
Well, of course, it's good for our Canadian producers, as that, you know, we have a program here that provides safe food products that are grown in sustainable ways, such as the fact that there are no registered pesticides for hemp food production in Canada. Unfortunately, the American farmer is missing out on the opportunity to be part of this $5 million worth of revenue that could be generated. And this is all principally right now on the food side, or as you said, on the soap side. So, you know, part of our platinum sponsors would be like Dr. Bronner's Magic Soap, Living Harvest Food, Manitoba Harvest, Nature's Path, and Nativa. These are all companies that could be sourcing from American farmers if they had the right to cultivate this crop.
What sort of potential, are there any good estimates as to how much this could mean to the American economy, how many farmers this could put back to work, etc.?
Oh, yeah, well, you know, this is huge. We're right now only focusing, we haven't even started to tip the iceberg of this, of the marketing potential in the United States. As I said right now, and you had stated, we're principally focused right now on the food and on the oil for body care applications. We haven't even started getting into the thick of things when it comes to building applications and textiles. You know, you look at a company like Enviro Textiles based out of Colorado, you know, right now they are bringing in the quality fabrics from Asia and other parts of the EU when they could be using hemp that was grown for fiber only in the United States to manufacture those textiles. Or it also opens opportunity for regional development of oil processing facilities, stock decortication facilities, to be able to be producing these raw ingredient products to sell into the market, to go into other interesting products like compostable packaging material, for instance, or recyclable plastic, or into the paper industry.
If we could get some clamshell products made of hemp that I could actually open after I bought the thing, that would be great. I could really appreciate that. We're speaking with Anndrea Hermann. She's from the Hemp Industries Association and a spokesperson for Hemp History Week. It's coming up real quick. June 3rd through 9th is the 4th annual Hemp History Week. You can find out more at hemphistoryweek.com. Anndrea, I was wondering, maybe some of our listeners who might have more education on hemp than maybe a typical audience would, maybe know some of the basic facts about hemp and its utilization for paper and plastics and fuel and so forth. I'm wondering, over the past couple of years, have there been any dramatic new developments in hemp production that you can think of that maybe our audience might not know about?
I think that, we're chugging along. We're seeing, more in the composite side, which is really good to be looking at a consistent quality and grading system coming online. You can look at the Composite Innovation Center here in Manitoba. They are bringing on something called Fiber City, in which they will be able to actually look and help develop a grading system, which will be good if we want to advance that into these type of composites and high-end composite products. I think that there are a few interesting products out there. There's a really great company called Ecovates, and they're using hemp hurd and mushroom mycelia to make compostable packaging material, which is really cool. But right now our principal driver is actually, encouraging people to contact their congressperson and support the Industrial Hemp Farming Act of 2013, because until we have the right to cultivate this crop in the United States, some of these really inventive products and ideas and manufacturers that are out there are not going to bite at hemp because they don't think that there's going to be a consistent supply of it on an annual basis. And also right now, if we're having to bring some of these fiber materials over from our colleagues in Europe, which we appreciate our colleagues in Europe, but the freight costs more than the product costs. So how can that be economical in the long run if we're not having domestic supply?
Yeah, and it just seems logical to me that a country founded by hemp farmers ought to allow the growing of hemp.
Exactly, and I say it's always sad. One of the jobs that I do, I'm an authorized hemp crop sampler by the government here in Canada, and it's always so sad to me when I'm standing right almost on the United States border, and the farmers, their kids have grown up together, they help each other with their farming, and the farmer in Canada can grow up, but the farmer in the United States can't, and they eat the same food, talk the same language, run the same equipment, watch the same television, and you look at them side by side, they're the same people. So American farmers should have the right, and the only way we're going to get that right is if our Congress people hear from their constituents. So they, your listeners can go to votehemp.com, go to the action tab. It's really simple. Put in your zip code. It comes up with all of your senators, your representatives. You can send them an automatic email. There's a script for you if you want to call them and ask them to support the Industrial Hemp Farming Act.
Yeah, get involved, people. Activism starts with ACT. Go to votehemp.com because they don't have a leg to stand on here as far as opposing the hemp uses of cannabis. Drug use of cannabis, that can be controversial for some people, but when it comes to industrial hemp, I mean, we're talking about less than, 0.3% THC in industrial hemp?
Yes, in Canada and in the proposed legislation in the United States in the green plant material, and in Canada you're looking at, we regulate also the food derivatives that are created, and those are regulated at 10 parts per million THC or less. Wow. And that has driven us into the point to where we are right now, where we know that you're not going to fail workplace drug tests and these things from consuming hemp foods because they are healthy hemp foods. And, we also have right now, support from the National Farmers Union. So we are starting to see these farmers come on in support of industrial hemp, which is also important because as activists, we can ask for it, but we need to also have the American farmers out there voicing their opinion.
Absolutely. And it's such a good crop for farmers. I understand really good for rotation, with other crops and replenishing the soil and so forth. We've got to make that happen. So let's talk about the making it happen. The Industrial Hemp Farming Act is on the federal side. There's already 8 states that have hemp legislation. I'm in Oregon, which is one of them, and a bunch of states that are fighting for it, but it all gets caught up on this DEA permit situation. Is that what the Industrial Hemp Farming Act will address?
Yes, the Industrial Hemp Farming Act will essentially remove or amend the Controlled Substances Act to exclude non-drug industrial hemp from the definition of marijuana, and it will allow the states to regulate industrial hemp in accordance to state law.
Okay, that then the states that currently have hemp legislation on the books, like Oregon or Vermont, could then start planting.
Exactly, and we've got good news today from Kentucky as the governor there is going to let the bill go into being law. We've had the action, of course, in Oregon and in Colorado. So there's a lot of interest from within the states, and I think that this becomes a states' rights issue, and we want to make sure that all those states and those that aren't quite yet involved in pushing for industrial hemp to get involved. And like I say, the only way that can happen is by picking up that phone or sending those letters.
If there's one talking point that the opponents of hemp still have, and that usually comes from someone in law enforcement, they'll try to say that, people that want to grow drug cannabis will hide it amongst the hemp. So we can just, kill that meme right away with an expert here. Could you address that point?
Yes, essentially what would happen is that the industrial hemp would cross-pollinate your female marijuana plants, and it would decrease the THC in your marijuana plants and also give you instead of a bud, you would get a seed head. Was in just this past year, I was in over 21,000 acres of hemp, and I have been crop sampling since 2005 and have never had a case, nor have we ever had a case reported in Canada of medical or marijuana being grown inside of a hemp field.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Anndrea, for making that perfectly clear. It seems to me they understand this in 31 or so other countries. I don't understand why it's so tough for the U.S.
Yes, and like I always say, law enforcement in the United States are no different than our law enforcement here in Canada. They are, intended to keep the peace, and, hemp is a non-issue. And, there's so many ways that people can get involved with things like Hemp History Week. You can set up a table to get involved. You can connect with your local farming community. You can, do a concert or an art walk. You can become a part of hosting a movie screening. And there's a complete toolkit that's available on the Hemp History Week website. You can go and look to see what events are going on in your area. Or if there's not an event, you can create an event. We've got presentations. You can put together something at your local library. You can get all kinds of nice promotional material to be able to provide to the guests that are coming and visiting you.
Oh, that sounds so good. HempHistoryWeek.com takes place June 3rd through the 9th, 2013. Coming just a couple months. Get involved, get active. Anndrea Hermann from Hemp Industries Association. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate your expertise.
Thanks, Russ. Appreciate y'all's time.
All right, folks, when we come back, time for a Radical Rant. We're looking at prosecuting mothers in Mississippi. It's a sad tale.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show.